Hello everyone, and welcome to my BNB For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It was a night that reeked of desperation, a night that would be whispered about in hushed tones across Los Angeles, a night when Luna Nozawa, the woman once branded a murderer, a manipulator, and a monster, became something even more unpredictable, a mother on the run. The rain poured in relentless sheets over the gray stone walls of the California Correctional Facility for Women, thunder rolling like the anger of gods who had grown tired of watching human tragedy unfold. Inside, chaos simmered just beneath the sterile hum of fluorescent lights. Guards barked orders, doors clanged, and in the farthest corner of Block C, Luna's heart pounded so hard she thought it might give her away. But fear was a luxury she couldn't afford anymore. Not tonight. Not when her child, her baby, was out there, alone, vulnerable, in the hands of people she didn't trust. The baby she had carried against all odds, the baby they said she'd never see again. The world thought Luna Nozawa was broken, but what no one understood was that she was more dangerous when she had nothing left to lose. She had spent months planning this, each detail carved into her mind like scripture. Every guard shift, every camera blind spot, every weak link in the system. It began innocently enough, a favor here, a whispered trade there. Luna had learned the rhythm of prison life, the way time stretched and bent around desperation. She had bartered cigarettes and secrets for information. She had charmed a young guard named Carla, feeding her stories of regret, remorse, and rehabilitation, while secretly cataloging her routines. When Luna learned that her baby, born prematurely while she was still awaiting appeal, had been taken into state custody and later handed over to an unnamed guardian affiliated with the Forresters, something inside her snapped. Hope Logan had claimed it was for the baby's own safety, but Luna knew better. She knew what the Forresters were capable of, the manipulations, the power plays, the lies dressed as love. She had once trusted them. Never again. Her moment came at 2:17 a.m., when the storm cut out the power. The backup generator stuttered to life, but not before the cameras blinked, a mere 5-second gap that Luna had orchestrated with a makeshift wire and a stolen magnet weeks earlier. She moved through the shadows like smoke, her body thin but taut with adrenaline. Her cell door clicked open with a soft whine. The corridor was empty. She had memorized every step, every turn. The guard station was unmanned, the storm had called for emergency reassignments. Luna slipped into the laundry chute, her body twisting in the narrow metal tube until she hit the bottom, gasping. The crash echoed, but no one came. For a moment, she just lay there, catching her breath, tasting blood on her lip, her mind screaming keep going. Outside the prison wall, a black sedan waited. It was old, the kind of car no one would notice, but its driver was someone Luna hadn't expected to see again, Bill Spencer. The billionaire media mogul, the man whose arrogance had once both charmed and destroyed her family, sat in the driver's seat, his jaw tight, his eyes shadowed. "You've got 5 minutes," he said as she slipped in, drenched and trembling. "After that, you're on your own." Luna looked at him, her lips trembling with disbelief. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, voice hoarse. Bill stared ahead, the rain streaking down the windshield like tears he would never admit to shedding. "Because they took your baby, and I know what it's like to lose a child you'd die for." He didn't look at her when he said it, but his voice cracked just enough to make Luna's chest ache. They drove through the night, headlights slicing through sheets of rain, the city sprawling like a dream they no longer belonged to. Luna's mind replayed everything, the birth, the nurses whispering, the cold touch of handcuffs against her skin as they took her baby away minutes after she heard that first fragile cry. She had begged them to let her hold the child one last time. "Please, just a second," she had whispered, tears blurring her vision. But the guards had pulled her back, and the baby, her baby, had disappeared behind a door she couldn't open. That sound, the baby's cry, had haunted her every night since. Bill dropped her off at an abandoned service tunnel near the edge of Beverly Hills. From there, Luna disappeared into the dark. For days, she hid in alleys and underpasses, moving only when the streets were empty. She changed her appearance, cutting her long black hair with a shard of glass, smearing dirt on her face to mask her features. She became invisible. A ghost. But her purpose burned bright as fire: find her child. Her first lead came from an old ally, Charlie Weber, the bumbling but kind-hearted Forrester security guard who still owed her a favor. Through a coded message slipped to a laundry worker, Charlie revealed what Luna had feared: the baby was being kept at the Forrester guest estate in Malibu under Hope Logan's temporary guardianship. They said it's until things calm down, the message read, but you know how Hope gets. She's already calling the baby ours. Luna's vision went red. Hope, again. The woman who smiled like sunshine but wielded guilt like a knife. Luna had once looked up to her, trusted her, even loved her as family. Now, she would take everything back. The night she struck was quiet, deceptively peaceful. The Malibu waves shimmered under a crescent moon, the Forrester property glowing faintly beyond the cliffs. Luna watched from the shadows, dressed in black, her breathing steady despite the storm inside her. Through the nursery window, she saw the baby, tiny, wrapped in a soft blue blanket, sleeping soundly in a crib that probably cost more than her entire life savings. Hope was nearby, sitting in a rocking chair, humming softly. For a moment, Luna hesitated. There was something almost sacred about the scene: a mother and child, bathed in lamplight, untouched by the ugliness of the world. But the longer she watched, the more that softness turned to rage. That was her baby. Those lullabies, that tenderness, that peace, it was all stolen. When Hope stepped out to answer a phone call, Luna moved. The lock was child's play, she had learned a lot in prison. She slipped inside, her heart pounding so hard it felt like thunder in her ears. The baby stirred slightly, letting out a soft whimper, and Luna froze, afraid the sound might wake the house. Slowly, she approached the crib, her hands shaking as she reached down. The moment her fingers brushed the baby's skin, time stopped. He was warm, real, impossibly small. Tears streamed down her face, hot and uncontrollable. "Mama's here," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry I took so long. But fate is cruel, and peace never lasts." The nursery door creaked open, and Hope's voice pierced the silence. "Luna?" The name hung in the air like a curse. Luna turned, clutching the baby protectively to her chest. Their eyes locked, Hope's filled with shock, Luna's with fury and fear. "Please," Luna whispered. "Don't do this. Don't take him from me again." Hope stepped forward, her hands raised. "Luna, you can't, he's safe here. You'll go back to prison if you, safe?" Luna's voice cracked, raw and desperate. "You call stealing my child safe? You think because you're a Logan, you can just decide who deserves to be a mother?" Hope's lips trembled. "I'm trying to protect him." Luna shook her head. "No. You're protecting yourself, your guilt, your image, your perfect life. You don't get to rewrite mine." And before Hope could move, Luna darted for the window, clutching the baby tight. Hope screamed her name, but the sound was swallowed by the crash of waves below. Luna hit the ground hard, pain exploding in her shoulder, but she didn't let go. She would never let go again. She ran into the dark, barefoot, bleeding, half-mad with adrenaline. Behind her, alarms blared. Lights flooded the estate. But she didn't stop. Not until the world disappeared behind her, replaced by the wild, endless night. For weeks, she lived like a fugitive. Every motel was temporary, every shadow a threat. She changed diapers by flashlight, soothed cries with trembling hands. She named him Kai, after her late brother, whose strength she carried like armor. Luna knew they couldn't hide forever. The police would be searching, the Forresters would be furious, and Bill's involvement would eventually surface. But in those quiet, stolen moments, when Kai's tiny hand curled around her finger, when his heartbeat steadied against her chest, Luna felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The media painted her as a monster again, the bold and beautiful baby snatcher, the headlines screamed. Ridge Forrester called her unstable. Steffi demanded her arrest. Brooke Logan went on record saying Luna was a danger to herself and others. Even Hope cried on live television, begging Luna to do the right thing. But none of them knew what right meant anymore. Luna wasn't a villain in her own story. She was a mother fighting against a world that had already judged her guilty long before she had a chance to speak. As the days bled into weeks, Luna found refuge in the desert, an old trailer left behind by a family that had long since moved on. There, surrounded by silence and dust, she built a life out of fragments. Each morning, she whispered promises to Kai, promises that they would be free, that one day he would know the truth. Sometimes she wondered if he would hate her for this. But then he would smile, that same mischievous grin that reminded her of his father, Deacon Sharp, and she would believe, just for a moment, that maybe love could rewrite fate. The story of Luna Nozawa became legend, whispered in headlines, dramatized in tabloids, debated in boardrooms and living rooms alike. But somewhere, beyond the noise and judgment, a woman and her child lived quietly, far from the cameras and the chaos. The world called her many things, criminal, kidnapper, escapee, but in her son's eyes, she was something else entirely. She was Mama. And that was the only truth that ever mattered. The desert had a strange kind of silence, not peaceful, but heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. Each day, Luna woke before sunrise, watching as the horizon bled from black to gold, her baby pressed close to her chest. The old trailer creaked with the wind, its metal skin shimmering under the heat. It wasn't much, but it was freedom, for now. She had food, thanks to a forgotten supply cache left behind by campers, and enough water to last another week. The baby, her baby, slept soundly in a makeshift crib made from a drawer padded with towels. His name, Kai, whispered in her thoughts like a prayer. Every time she looked at him, she remembered why she had done it. Why she had risked everything. Why she could never go back. But peace was a fragile illusion. Out there, in the glittering chaos of Los Angeles, her escape had shaken the city like an earthquake. News helicopters circled over Malibu for days, reporters shouted into cameras, and her name was once again plastered across every screen, Luna Nozawa, murderer. Escapee. Baby thief. Hope Logan sobbed on television, pleading for Luna to turn herself in before someone gets hurt. Ridge Forrester raged in meetings with the LAPD, demanding swift action. Brooke Logan gave interviews about mental instability and postpartum trauma. And then there was Bill Spencer, silent, withdrawn, staring at the ocean from his balcony, torn between guilt and pride. Back in the desert, Luna's world was shrinking. The radio, her only link to civilization, crackled with updates. Authorities believe Luna Nozawa may have fled the state with the infant. A $250,000 reward has been issued for any information leading to her capture. The words sank into her like poison. She turned the dial off, clutching Kai tighter. "They're not going to take you," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Not again." By the third week, exhaustion began to set in. Kai cried more often, his tiny face scrunched in discomfort. Luna feared he was getting sick, the desert air was harsh, and she had no medicine, no doctor, no safety net. One night, as a cold wind swept through the trailer, she pressed him close, rocking him gently. "It's okay, baby. Mama's here," she murmured, tears tracing down her cheeks. The moonlight made his skin glow, his small hand clutching at her shirt. In that moment, she felt something deeper than fear, a kind of sacred defiance. The world could hunt her, label her, destroy her, but they could never make her stop loving him. Yet, even as she clung to that love, Luna knew the clock was ticking. Someone would find her eventually. She'd seen a dust trail on the horizon earlier that day, maybe just a passing truck, maybe not. She'd buried her car in a ravine 2 miles away, knowing it would be the first thing the police would track. But money was running low. The formula she'd been rationing was almost gone. Every night, she dreamed of alarms, sirens, prison bars. And every morning, she woke to the sound of her son's soft breathing, and reminded herself why she couldn't give up. Then came the knock. It was soft at first, almost uncertain. Luna froze. Her pulse spiked. The trailer was miles from the nearest road, surrounded by nothing but sand and wind. No one should have been able to find her. She moved silently, clutching Kai, and peered through a crack in the door. A shadow shifted outside, tall, male, familiar. Then a voice. "Luna," it said quietly. "It's me." Her breath caught. That voice, deep, weary, unmistakable. Deacon Sharp. Luna hesitated. Deacon, the man who had once been her mentor, her confidant, her mistake. The man whose DNA now tied him to the tiny life in her arms. For a moment, the world tilted. How did he find her? Why now? She unlocked the door slowly, her eyes wary. Deacon stepped inside, his hair disheveled, his clothes covered in dust from the desert drive. His face was drawn, a mix of relief and pain. "You're really here," he whispered. "God, Luna," his eyes fell on the baby. He swallowed hard. "Is that?" Luna nodded, tears brimming. "He's yours," she said simply. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. Deacon took a step forward, his voice trembling. "He's beautiful." His hands shook as he reached out, but Luna pulled the baby closer instinctively. "Don't," she said sharply. "Not yet." Deacon blinked, pain flickering across his face. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said softly. "I just want to help. Bill told me where you were. He's been covering for you, keeping Ridge and Hope off your trail. But the cops are closing in, Luna. They traced your last gas station stop." Her stomach dropped. "How long do I have?" "Maybe a day. 2, if we're lucky." She turned away, her mind racing. "Then I'll move again. I'll find another place." Deacon stepped closer, desperate. "You can't keep running forever. You think this is a life for him? Hiding in the desert? Never knowing who he is?" Luna spun around, eyes blazing. "And what's the alternative, Deacon? Hand him over to them? To Hope? To the Foresters? They'll raise him like a trophy, another perfect Logan project." Her voice broke. "They took everything from me. My freedom, my dignity, my baby. I won't let them take him too." Deacon's voice softened, pained. "I know what it feels like to lose a child. I missed every moment of Hope's life because I was too damn reckless. Don't make the same mistake. Don't let him grow up without knowing peace." Luna's expression crumbled. "Peace," she whispered. "There's no peace for people like me." For a long time, they stood in silence, a broken father, a desperate mother, and the child who bound them together. That night, Deacon stayed. He made a small fire outside the trailer, cooking what little food they had left. For the first time in months, Luna slept, truly slept, while Deacon kept watch, rocking his son under the starlit sky. The baby's tiny breaths filled the air, soft and steady, and Deacon felt something inside him shift. A purpose. A redemption. But dawn brought no mercy. At sunrise, the sound of engines shattered the quiet. Black SUVs snaked across the horizon, dust clouds rising behind them. Luna woke instantly, her instincts screaming. Deacon ran inside. "They found us." She grabbed Kai, wrapping him in a blanket. "I'm not going back." Deacon's eyes darted around. "There's a ravine out back. Go. I'll stall them." "No," Luna started, but he was already at the door. The SUVs screeched to a stop. Armed officers fanned out, shouting orders. And behind them, standing tall, determined, and heartbreakingly familiar, was Hope Logan. Her golden hair whipped in the wind, her eyes red from crying. "Luna," she called. "Please, don't make this worse." Deacon stepped out, hands raised. She's not armed. There's a baby. Where is he? Hope shouted. Where's my brother's son? Inside, Luna's mind raced. There was nowhere left to go. She clutched Kai close, whispering, "It's okay, baby. It's okay. Mama's here." Then she turned to the back door, only to find 2 officers already there, weapons drawn. "Luna Nozawa," one barked. "Put the baby down and step away." Luna's breath came in shallow bursts. "You don't understand," she whispered. "He's mine. He's mine. Ma'am, don't do this." Outside, Hope's voice trembled. "Luna, please, I swear, I'll make sure you can see him. Just give him to me." Luna shook her head. "You said that before. You lied." Tears streaked Hope's cheeks. "I didn't know they'd take him away from you forever. I was trying to protect him." The desert wind howled, the tension thick enough to choke on. Luna backed toward the corner, clutching Kai as he began to cry. The sound, raw, piercing, tore through the chaos like a siren of innocence. Everyone froze. In that instant, Luna made her choice. She looked at Deacon, her eyes glassy but fierce. "Take him," she whispered. Deacon's head jerked up. "What?" She stepped forward, pressing Kai into his arms. "You said he deserves peace. You give it to him. Promise me. Luna. Promise me." Tears burned his eyes. "I promise." She kissed her baby's forehead, breathing in his scent one last time. "Mama loves you," she whispered. "Always." Then she turned, lifting her hands slowly, facing the police. "Luna Nozawa," the officer repeated, "you're under arrest." Deacon's voice broke. "Don't hurt her." But Luna didn't fight. She didn't run. She let them take her, her wrists bound, her heart shattering, not from fear, but from the sound of her son's cries fading behind her. Hope watched, sobbing silently as Luna was led to the SUVs. For the first time, she saw not a criminal, but a mother, broken, raw, human. Days later, the world moved on. Headlines blared, "Baby safe, escaped inmate returns to custody." The foresters issued statements. Hope thanked the authorities. Ridge claimed justice had been served. But behind closed doors, nothing felt just. In her cell, Luna stared out the tiny window, the desert sun burning against the bars. Every night, she replayed the moment she let go. Every morning, she prayed that Kai was safe. And sometimes, when the wind carried the faintest trace of laughter, she swore she could still hear him. Meanwhile, in a quiet home in Malibu, Deacon held his son close, fulfilling the promise he had made. He told him stories of a woman who fought the world for him, who braved darkness for love. He didn't call her a fugitive. He called her Mama. And though the world might never understand, those who had truly seen her, even Hope, even Deacon, knew one thing: Luna Nozawa hadn't broken out of prison to run from justice. She had broken out to reclaim it. The trial of Luna Nozawa became one of the most explosive spectacles Los Angeles had ever seen. The courthouse overflowed with reporters, flashing cameras, and onlookers hungry for drama. Behind bulletproof glass, Luna sat pale and composed, her wrists still bearing the faint marks of restraint. But her eyes, as fierce, unbroken, told a different story. Across the aisle, Hope Logan clutched Deacon's hand, torn between guilt and maternal protectiveness. Beside her, Ridge and Brooke whispered furiously, already strategizing how to control the public narrative. The prosecution painted Luna as unstable, a woman consumed by obsession who had risked an infant's life. They replayed the escape footage, displayed images of the desert hideout, and quoted Luna's prison records out of context. But then came the defense, a young, passionate attorney funded quietly by Bill Spencer, who had never forgiven himself for dragging Luna into the chaos. "My client is not a criminal," the attorney declared. "She is a mother. She was denied her child without due process, isolated, manipulated, and forced to watch others claim her baby as their own. What would you have done in her place? Gasps filled the courtroom. Even Hope couldn't look away. Then came the twist. A nurse, once silenced by threats of dismissal, came forward with evidence that Luna's medical records had been altered the night she gave birth. The baby was meant to be released to her pending appeal, but a private request had been made to transfer custody to the Forresters. The signature?